So the case is, let me show you. We have that file here. Okay, I might need to copy that file. Okay. So all of you know that in our system, we have this file called secure. Okay. And basically this file hold all the activity which is happening in my system. So activity in the sense, if somebody is trying to log into my system or via the SSH or via any other way, this has been captured. Okay. So my aim is I need to find it out who are the user who is trying to possibly break into my system. So basically you see that failed password for this invalid user. Okay. See this guy who is trying to log into my system. So they're basically trying to break into my system. Okay. So basically I need to write a script where I need to get this IP address from this secure file, which is verilog secure. Okay. And if I need to set out the threshold. Okay. So if this IP is repeated like 5 or whatever the threshold you see, put it inside the IP tables. Okay. So I want to block this IP so that it's a kind of a brute force attack, right? They are trying to log into my system by using a different account. So basically we want to write a script which is constantly going to monitor our verilog secure file. And if someone is trying to break like this 5 or 3 times, basically drop the request from that particular IP. Okay. So I'm giving you the scenario. So basically, let's say you joined some company as a DevOps engineer or as a security engineer, and you have been assigned this task. Okay. The first thing is how you are going to approach to this problem. Do anyone want to speak about it? Like, if I give you a task, what will be your first step? Think of it in terms of any problem if given to you. What are the things which you need to find it out? Looking at this, whatever the details I have given to you or whatever the description of the problem I have given to you. Okay, so we will start with getting the IP address from the file, which is a secure file, right? We will count it. Okay, based on our threshold, we will implement the IP table suite. So if the threshold is exceed, where we use some kind of a conditional statement, if the threshold increase by 5, or I will say whatever, depending upon your condition, we will drop that packet, right? Now, my question is, let's go back to this file. Yes. So let's not worry about too many things. Let's focus on one line. Let's say this line, right? If from this line, I need to get my, that's what we have discussed, right? We need to get this IP address. If I give you this task, okay, you need to find out the IP address. How will you be able to find it out? Okay, so basically I need to extract the IP address from this particular file. How I will be able to extract this IP address? Okay, so somebody said AWK. So let's start with the AWK. So we will say AWK, and we need to find out the field. This is field number 1, field number 2, field number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. So all of you who is not aware of AWK command, it's a kind of a parser, right? And we can say print $11. The syntax of it is like, is something called a field separator. And by default, in case of a AWK command, the field separator is this white space. So that's why I'm not specifying it over here, But if you want, we can specify it like this, but it is not required. And then we have counted that this field is coming as 11. Okay, let's start with something basic and then we will deep dive in what other things we can do. Okay, so okay, we find it out that we will be able to get the IP. But you see that we are getting some other field also. So secure file is not properly constructed, right? Somewhere we are getting this, for example, this user ID, and this is what we want, right? So, but
I think so. You can use the grep using the from, the line which
okay,
is having a from, start with a from, and you can grab that line.
okay, we can do that. So this guy, this is what you are saying, right?
Yeah.
Will we have this port and bad?
No, no, no. You can remove the AWK and
Mhm.
just grab the from, and then uh,
Okay,
then
again we need to use AWK, right?
yeah.
Okay, I mean there's no right or wrong answer. The main idea is to build the approach, right? Rather than saying, okay, this is wrong or this is right. Okay, there's one more way we can do it. I mean, I'm not going into depth of all those things, but you guys probably aware of cut command. David, unfortunately, I don't know if we can do it by the sed. Sed, I basically use it for certain replays, but using this, I don't think so. But there's a command called cut, right? And in cut also, we are looking for this 11th field, this guy, right? Cut also works on the field. But the thing is with cut is that cut, the default delimiter is not white space. Anyone know what is the default delimiter in case of cut? Or do you guys aware of this command cut, right? So in case of cut also, the default delimiter is tab, not the white space. So in this case, we need to specify this guy. Now coming back to what Bhautik said, let's try the grep from here. Okay, but still we are getting this port, bed, everything, all these things, right? So the approach which we are following is partially correct. We can do some kind of a more hack over here, right? We will say 0 to 9, anything which is starting from 0 to 9. Sorry, not like this. We will get this one. But still we are getting something like 570, 11, this thing. Okay, so there is some problem, right? If I will try to implement this logic either by using cut command or awk command, this is not going to fulfill my, I mean, there should be some bug in my script for sure. So what should be my next approach? And I want to hear one particular word, which I know most of the people scared about it, but how can I find it out the IP address in this file using, okay, what is the best approach I can follow if I want to get the IP address out of the file? Start with R. Second thing is E. You guys need to fill something in between. Regular expression. So we need something called regular expression. Okay. And in case of regular expression, here our use case is we need to find out the IP address. And IP address in case of regular expression says digit, which counts 0 to 9. Okay. Don't worry about it. I'm going to take up like a half session later to regular expression. But for the timing, just understand /d and for digit in regular expression, which count from 0 to 9. Okay. So now we need to build a regular expression, which will find it out this one. Okay. So let's start with grep again. We will do the head of secure. Okay. And we'll start building my regular expression. But regular expression, I need to use something called a regular extended regular expression. Grep -e. or some of you aware of something called egrep. So I can use any of these. So let me start with this one. Okay. And I will put it like this, 0 to 9. That's what I mentioned. D is for digit, or I can put it like this. This is called character classes. Character classes means anything if you know that IP address can be like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, right? IP address can be like this, or it can be 192.168.0.1, or it can be 1.2.3.4, right? So IP address is from again 0 to 255. So it can be of any format, right? It can have a 1 in this one place, 3 digit in the first place, or 2 digit. Similarly for other field also, right? So we are starting with something basic. So I'm saying 0 to 9 in the first place. Okay. And again, that we have seen that this can be 1 digit, or it can be 3 digit, or it can be a 1 digit. So I need to use something called 1, 2, 3, which said that the first digit can be repeated 1 time, or it can be repeated 3 times. Okay. Then I have fulfilled this first part of this. The next thing is dot. And dot has a special meaning in regular expression. So dot means everything. Just in the simplest term you can understand, dot means it's a special character which matches everything. So what I need to do if I need to match this dot literally is to escape it. Okay. Now I can write this one 3 times. So I will say 0 to 9, 0 to 9. But if you see, the last part does not have the dot, right? So I can remove this one. I can do this. Now you see that we have matched the exact IP address. So we started with this character class 0 to 9, which matches anything from 0 to 9. We know the IP address can be like 1 time, it can be repeated 1 time, or it can be a value of 3. It can have 2 values, it can have 1 values, it can have 3 digits over here. And then because dot has a special meaning, we escaped it and we repeated it 3 times. And then we find the IP address, right? We are matching the IP address line. We are not matching the exact IP address. Anyone know how to find the exact IP address over here? This fulfilled some of the part of the what exactly our requirement was, but it not exactly fulfilled. Like we just want to grab this exact IP address, not this whole line. How can I do it with the help of this grab statement? There is a particular flag for that. Anyone know? -O. So this matches our IP address, right? Exact IP address, not the whole line. Okay. But this regular expression looks a little bit ugly, right? We are repeating all these things multiple number of times. So there is a better way to handle it. Okay, let's forget about it because we are just starting it over. So let's say we are able to find it out, the IP address. I will spoke about it, how to make it better. So our first requirement is done. We are able to get the IP address from the secure file. Now the next requirement is we need to count the number of times this IP address is getting repeated. How can I count in this one? So I need to find it out. Okay, for example, this IP address is repeated 1 time. This IP address is repeated like 4 or 5 times. This is 1 time. So in this command, what exactly I need to do? So I will find it out the number of times this particular IP address is repeated. Anyone? Exactly. David is on the spot. So first we need to sort it out. And then I will need to do something called unique. And -C is for count. So sorting, you understand, right? The 0 digit is first, 1 is 2, 3. So I sort it out, and then I will say unique. Unique means if this is like 4 times or 5 times, this is just going to count once. And -c is for count. So you will see that the IP address is repeated 5 times. This one is repeated 1 time. This is repeated 1 time. If you understand this logic, then writing the code is pretty simple. So now we have built this one, right? We are able to find out the IP address. We are able to count it out. Now the script time, right? Just in the interest of time, I will show you the script that I have wrote, but obviously there is always a scope of improvement. You guys can send me the pull request. So one thing which we need to do in this kind of a script, I mean, obviously we will start with this shebang header, which we already discussed it. We have defined the log files. Okay. The reason I hard coded this value because all of our logic that we have built it so far is depend upon this one. Otherwise, I always want to make my script portable. With portable, I mean, I want a user to enter the log file name or whatever the value which I want it from the user, he or she is going to enter it on the command line. But this is a special scenario where we need to read it from the specific log files. Okay. Then we need to set up some threshold value. Okay. This is what we have discussed, right? That if somebody is trying to do like 5 times, if he's trying to break into my server, block it. But this is completely depend upon your scenario. Like it can be 3 or it can be just 2 or 3, whatever the value you want to set it out. Okay. I always do some kind of a conditional checking before start proceeding with directly with the script. So here I'm trying to see if this file exists, like the file which we are passing, if it's readable. One thing which I want to add into the script, if we have the permission. So secure file generally not being readable by a normal user. You need to be a root user. So I can add one more conditional check over here. I always ensure that my script have enough and conditional check so that we will not run into some kind of a edge condition that later on down the lane, if somebody catch an error or bug in my code. So try to add as much condition as possible. Okay. Then we have this timestamp variable. Okay. I will tell you what exactly this timestamp variable is. And then I'm creating a temp file. So basically the output that we have received here, right? This is completely optional. This is up to you, but I prefer to use this in my script. So basically I'm creating this temporary file, which you can do it with the help of this something called mktemp utility. You can even simply use touch command. You don't need to go like this way. And the reason I'm creating this temporary file so that I can capture the output of this one, this guy. So basically this thing is stored in secure, right? And this output which I'm going to get, that I can pass it into my script. So I'm creating a temporary file. Okay. Then I use this regular expression which we have just seen. This is a much more concise version of it. So there you have seen that I have wrote this 0 to 9, 1 to 3, 3 or 4 number of times. But here you can do it something called this bracket sign 3. So that means this particular thing is repeating 3 times. Okay. /b is for boundary. So this is important, and this is where you will see some kind of an error, or this is some kind of a bug you can catch in your script. So if /b is there, /b stands for boundary. So what do I mean by that boundary? So let's say just a hypothetical scenario, maybe your script has like 1199. Just throwing you some example in a worst case scenario. Then because you have this regular expression that grep, it will even count this as an IP address because for this, at least this part is matching. So, but if you set this word boundary /b, that is, you are going to put your regular expression inside this one, it will make sure that it will only catch something which is between this /b starting endpoint and the ending endpoint. If these kind of a edge scenario occur, is somebody going to malform your file with this one, because we know IP address is only the like 0 to 255. So these kind of a thing will be cached. So that's why I always want to put this -b in, especially when grabbing a particular thing. For example, this one, or grabbing a phone number from the file. If you understand all these things, then doing the last part is pretty simple. we are going to read, like we have created this temporary file, right? And we have grabbed the IP address and count like the way we have done it. We stored it into a temporary file, and now I'm just feeding it into my while loop. So what this while loop is going to do, it's just going to read this file line by line, okay? And in first column, it is going to grab the count, this value, and in from first column, it is going to grab the count. From the second column, it's going to grab the IP address, this IP address, okay? And if this count here, this value 5, is greater than our threshold, the threshold which we have seen it over here, just block this IP address. Drop means drop, okay? And then done. As simple as that. But the main gist of this script is to understand this logic, like how to get the IP address, and especially this sort and unique -c. You can devise some other concept, like for example, WC-L to get the count of this, but this is much more straightforward rather than writing all those complex things. Okay. Even if you don't want to use the regular expression, you need to do a lot of parsing. For example, the way we have built it, like for example, grep for that particular line, then the exclamation, the anchor sign, 0 to 9. We can do all those things, but this is a much cleaner solution. Okay. And just to be remembered, if you set this threshold to really low, for example, 1, maybe you are trying to log into your system and you accidentally type the wrong password. So if this IP tables is there, it is going to block your IP. So be really careful before executing these kind of a script, because this will even throw you out of that particular system. Okay.